Hello Scoot friends, today is the Scoot for Science. We are going to marathon scoot in eco mode on the lakefront trail. I'll tell you more about why I chose that and what's going on with this as we go, but I wanted to give you a quick look at what I'm bringing with me today. So I've got, of course, my scooter. Everybody loves Scootly. Got my rider bag. Always ride with my rider bag. Today we've got a medium weight orange high-vis vest for the temperatures. And of course I've got my helmet. Well, enough of that. Let's get scooting.
I'm going to call this chapter Nervous, because that's what I was. I was nervous. Would I make it? Would my knees make it? Would I be in pain? How long would it take? Would this even work? So just nervous. While there are many planned stops during this scoot, this one was unplanned. I was worried and nervous that I had forgotten to take the weather's temperature and check the beginning statistics for Scootly and to show mileage and everything. And I was worried I had ruined my experiment, and then I dropped my glove, and then I dropped my other glove, and well, let's get back to scooting. So let's talk a little bit about the plan here. There are 5 battery bars on my scooter, and they will flash once half a bar or 10% battery life is used up. So I'll be stopping as soon as I notice that to check the mileage and the data, and so you'll see flashcards come up at each one of those stops showing that information. I will also be stopping every hour for several reasons. One, to give me a break, give my knees a break, do a little stretching, sit down for a bit. I'm also going to give a break to the scooter just to make sure the battery doesn't overheat, although I'm not really worried about that. I'm also going to give a break to the camera, change out the battery, make sure everything looks good there, and I'll also take this time to chat with you for a little bit. See you then! So this ride was a little bit of an exercise in patience for me. At this speed, at 9 miles per hour or 15 kilometers per hour, even though this is similar to my party pace bicycle riding style, it was tough for me to watch everybody pass me and know that I could go faster. But I eventually got into the groove, settled in, and just began to enjoy the ride and the sights. Happily, I had already settled into the ride well before this point. I really got a perfect Chicago fall day for this experiment ride. I am loving this. So we are officially an hour into the ride.
Checking a couple of the stats here. Currently it says I've got 81% of my battery left and 35 miles. So that's a good thing. I'm a little nervous about this scoot. I am going to stop every hour to rest my knees for a little bit. I'm nervous because I'm scooting really far away and hoping that I'm going to be able to get back to where I started, if not a little bit further. The whole lakefront trail is 18 miles long, 18 and a half, around 30 kilometers. So I'm going to see if I can basically cover it all twice today and hopefully then some in eco mode. We're currently at, I believe, around 2100 south. We started at 4400 north, and so I'm gonna relax here for about 15 minutes, maybe do some stretching, take off some of my layers, and then get back on the scoot. See you then.
I'm going to call this section excited. Based off of the stats after the first hour, I was feeling pretty confident I'd be able to make it all the way down to 71st Street or the 7100 South block and back, and then maybe some more. Oh yeah. So you might be wondering, why did I want to do this in the first place? Well, first of all, I had never scooted all the way down to 71st Street. So that was the first thing I wanted to attempt to do. Although I'd gotten pretty darn close in some of my earlier scoots. And I also wanted to know, in the real world, how far would my scooter go? Would my Segway ninebot Max G2 hit the 43 miles or 69 kilometers that it promised it could do if you maxed it all of the way out? I might have procrastinated this experiment a little bit longer, but I'm going to give a shout out here to Life's a Hobby, my buddy Owen over in Ireland. He's got a great channel, so check him out. He was really fascinated by this concept, so it gave me a little extra push to get it done a little bit sooner, and I'm so glad that I did. So thank you very much, Owen. I have made it to 71st Street or the 7100 South block. The trail ends right around the corner. I'm really excited. Time to turn around. So I did try to control the variables as best I could for this experiment. You did see that I had filled the tire pressure at the beginning, rider weight is one of the variables also. You've seen me. I'm not small, but you know, pretty average. And add 10 pounds of gear for the lock that is super heavy that I use, but didn't use for this. I also was trying to control for hills. The trail is relatively flat, but there are some. And I did coast down hills when coasting meant I went greater than 9 miles per hour or 15 kilometers per hour.
Okay, so we've hit hour 2. We are stopping for our lunch break. Check all our stats. It has warmed up a bit, so I've taken off a bunch of layers already at other stops. But while I'm not riding, I'll take the jacket off. Got some water. Peanut butter and jelly, some chips, and a nice apple. I'm gonna finish off one of my favorite Japanese cookies. Squirrel friend came through this tunnel. City squirrels are brave. And yes, I gave him some sandwich. See, he's eating some sandwich right now.
I'm going to call this section, Here Comes the Pain. If you take a look at the left, notice that I'm passing the car traffic. This is what the sirens were all about. Just ahead is the crash, and it involves multiple vehicles. I hope no one was hurt. To be honest, I didn't realize the scope of the accident until I passed it. I live near a hospital, so I hear a lot of sirens, and it wasn't until I listened to this recording in playback that I realized just how many sirens went by. It doesn't compare to being in a car crash, but this was my most painful hour. My knees were so spicy. I did a lot of one-leg riding to bend each one. About 15 minutes into this hour, I noticed that I had forgotten to restart my music. I use a classic tiny little iPod mini, and it was buried in my pockets and behind the camera, so in order to restart it, I would have to take off part of my gear to get it going again. I was really frustrated, and I wonder if the lack of music led to me paying more attention to the pain that I had in my knees. At this point in the ride, this was not the greatest number of miles I had ever scooted in a single day before. But this was different. I had never been at this slow of a speed, and it oddly required a bit more balancing in a different way. And so my shoulders began to hurt, and my back began to hurt a little bit too during this time. Some fancy scoot ladies are going to be joining me shortly. Keep an eye out for them. One has a skirt, one has nice slacks on. They looked so nice out there scooting. They do slow down here, so we're going to get a bit of a close-up. I tried to say hello here, but they weren't speaking English and weren't interested.
Okay, so we have made it through hour 3. Taking a minute here, just enjoying the view. And if you're wondering why I parked where I did, because I did drive to the lakefront trail, I wanted to make sure that I could minimize some of the variables I had. So I wanted to be on a surface that it was flat as possible, as well as I didn't want to have a lot of stop and go like I do in traffic. So the lakefront trail seemed pretty perfect for this. And we parked over up at Montage because I wanted to take advantage of free parking. So at hour 3, it is showing that I still have 13 miles of range. I'm only a couple miles out from my very starting point, so we'll see what happens as we go on. We're about 31% battery left. Hi, cutie. Hello. Oh, what a cutie.
I'm going to call this section of the scoot High Alert and Final Stats. I was on high alert during this portion of the ride because I was really worried about potentially ruining my scooter. You can't run the batteries on scooters like this down to 0 or it will ruin them. Followers of the channel will know that I will do nothing to ruin or risk my dear Scootly. I love her too much. I did not anticipate running into the detour we're about to hit, and I got a bit worried that it might impact my ability to make it all the way down to the end of the trail and back. I've chosen to show the entirety of the riding portion of this scoot because the experiment was to see how far I could ride, and I wanted to make sure I included all of the parts of the ride. You're going to start seeing my left hand holding my phone pop up in the screen here fairly frequently. That and my helmet and mirror as I look down at my phone. I am trying to keep an eye on Scootley's battery more specifically than just the flashing bars that are on my control deck on her handlebars. I'll confess that due to my nerves that maybe I checked it a little too frequently during this time period. We have made it to the northern end of the trail, Ardmore Avenue, 5500 North. I wanted to share a couple of the fast facts about my speed during this. Like I said, my traveling speed was 9 miles per hour or 15 kilometers per hour, but my top speed, and I hit this going downhill coasting, was 17 miles per hour or 27 kilometers per hour. My slowest, going up a very small but very steep hill, was 3 miles per hour or 5 kilometers per hour. Most of the hills I ended up slowing down to about 7 miles per hour or 11 kilometers per hour, but the majority of the ride was at 9 miles, 15 kilometers per hour. My alert levels are so high right now. Even the stats page is starting to look angrier and angrier with its red numbers in the left corner. And once Scootley's battery had gotten down to only 10% left, it began to affect performance. She began to slow down, and top speed was only about 7 miles or 11 kilometers per hour, and sometimes would go back up to about 8 miles or 13 kilometers per hour. At this point, I'm randomly riding in the vicinity of where I parked to push the battery as much as I can without being too far away from the car. I really wanted to make it through 4 full hours of scooting. I don't know why it was so important to me, but it was. Scootley's speed had dropped to 7 miles per hour or 11 kilometers per hour, and she was struggling to get started.
All right, Scoot friends, we hit hour 4, and Scootley right now is looking like she's ready to be done. We've got 8% battery left. I'm not willing to risk it any more than that. So I think this is where I'm going to say, thanks for marathon scooting with me. This was crazy. It was both very difficult and one of the best days I've had on my scooter. So, thanks for scooting with me. See you next Wednesday. Same scoot time, same scoot channel. Don't forget to do the cool stuff, like, subscribe, and share. And have yourself an amazing day.